Welcome to Kinks and Beats Daily. I'm your host, Tony Fry, and I'm glad you're listening today. I want to start off our episode with yesterday we did a little listener mail, and I want to do it again today. I don't have an email to share, but if you leave me a review on iTunes, I'll read that too, even if it's a bad review, but I would prefer 5-star glowing reviews, please. But anyway, here's a 5-star review from Z2s. Lifelong Kinks fan, love this podcast. Quick, fun episodes that help you appreciate the greatest bands in rock and roll. Can't wait for more. Keep it up, Tony. He spelled can't with a K. That's cute, right? Kinks. Can't. I wonder if the Kinks ever regretted that. Doing the spelling C words with a K, like Kinks controversy and stuff like that. Because, like, on the one hand, okay, it's kind of clever, I guess. I don't know. I don't really get it because it's not a play on words or anything. But on the other, it's like 50, 60 years later, and people are still doing it. I wonder if they regret it, or if they even had any say in it in the first place. You know, a lot of times those bands in those days, the record labels kind of did whatever they wanted, and who knows how much say they had in that. But thank you for the review. If you're enjoying this podcast, please swing by Apple Podcasts or iTunes or whatever it's called this week and leave a 5-star rating and a glowing review. It helps us a lot. And if you don't like this podcast, I don't know why you still download it, but go ahead and leave a 1-star review on Stuff You Should Know, because they can take the hit. All right, so today we are talking about Harry Rag, which is a Kinks song released September 15th, 1967 on the album Something Else by the Kinks. And we have covered a few songs from Something Else by the Kinks. We did Death of a Clown. We have done Situation Vacant. And we have done... Oh, we haven't... Whoops. I almost said something that's not true. And then Waterloo Sunset is on the song. We haven't covered it here. I wrote an article at Hero Habit about it, but we haven't talked about it yet. So this is the third episode devoted to Something Else by the Kinks. And this album did not sell very well. Surprise, surprise. Pie kind of blew it. They had 2 hit singles off of it, fairly close together in time, but they were both released in the summer. So by the time the album comes out, those singles are not promoting the album anymore. So that was kind of a stupid play on Pie Records' part if they wanted to sell a ton of albums. And then in the US, the Kinks are still banned from touring. They're banned from doing TV appearances. So they're, essentially hoping that Rolling Stone gives them a write up at that point as far as getting a record promoted. So it was not a high selling album, but it is a solid album. And it's very British. And when you listen to Harry Rag, it's one of their most British tunes of the 60s, I think. It opens up, you've got this marching drum line, almost a military march kind of snare drum pattern, and a kind of a marching bass line where the bass player is just playing the root and the fifth. Bomb, 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 bomb. That's all it is. So 1 and 3 on the first beat and the third beat, and he's playing the root and then the fifth of the chord. So he's going C, G, C. It's stupid simple. But it fits the vocals very well because Ray here has basically written a pub drinking song. And I love pub drinking songs, not necessarily on rock and roll records, but just in general, you have that kind of back and forth where you want to put your arm around the guy sitting next to you and just sway back and forth as you sing the chorus. And this is if you would have told me that this melody was 100 years old at the time, I would have believed it. It's a very well-written drinking song. And the song is just about people who smoke. No matter what life throws at them, they can always roll a hairy rag and put themselves to bed. Hairy rag, obviously, not a term that Americans would use for a cigarette, but it is Cockney rhyming slang for cigarette. So, I've talked about a couple times, even just a couple days ago, about Ray's ability to write a single line that is perfectly worded to the melody, perfectly delivered. Guess what? This song's got another one. When he says in the second verse, he says, Tom's old mom is a dying lass. And then here's the best line in the song, I believe. Soon they all reckon she'll be pushing up the grass. It's got such a good meter to it. I love the sound of that that line when he sings it and how it fits with the melody. And her bones might ache and her skin might sag, but still she's got the strength to have a hairy rag. It's a good line. There's a lot of clever lines in this song. Bless you, taxman, bless you all. You may take some, but you never take it all. But if I give it all, I won't feel sad as long as I got enough to buy a hairy rag. It's a cool little tune here. Once they get into the verse, it gets into a more traditional rock beat, kind of still in a 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. But the Mick Avery goes to a kind of a more standard subdividing on the cymbals and all that kind of stuff. And then right back into the marching line. Some cool background vocals on this track. It's as far as album tracks go, and kind of deep cuts, it's the 5th tune on the album on side A. I mean, it's pretty good album filler, if you ask me. Probably could have been a B-side or even potentially a hit, I guess. Had they done anything to promote this band at the time. So that's about it. That's Harry Rag. There's not a lot to say. It's a very simple song. It revolves around like 3 chords. And it's just verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, which is, again, very reminiscent of those drinking songs. And there's a lot of verses in it. It's not the standard 2 verses, a chorus, and a bridge, and then you're done. That said, it's 2 minutes and 15 seconds long. If you listen to the Something Else Deluxe edition, the disc 1 is the mono disc. Disc 2 has the stereo mixes. For this particular song, I don't hear much difference. Some of the songs, it's drastic, where the stereo is a huge improvement. Some of the songs, the mono is the superior version. This one, I could go either way. I don't hear a ton of difference in the mix. They both sound pretty good. Because it's such a simple song. It's acoustic guitars and vocals with a very simple bass and drum line. But I have added, I believe, the stereo mix to our playlist on Spotify. So if you visit Spotify and search for Hero Habit, you will find a playlist called Kinks and Beats Daily. And I'm putting all the songs we talked about up on that playlist. So you can listen to it before you listen to the episode or after you listen to the episode or both. I don't care. But then you can have it in your head as I'm talking about it, or you can listen to what I'm saying about it and then, take whatever I talk about and listen for those things when you listen to it afterwards. So that's on Spotify. You can also find it if you go herohabit.com/kinks-beats Kinks-and-beats-podcast. You can find it there. All you got to do is go to herohabit.com, click the podcast link, and then you'll find a drop-down menu that says Kinks and Beats Daily. Click that. I've got the episode recaps on that page. I've got the Spotify playlist on that page. I've got other articles about the Kinks and the Beatles on that page. And I've got the web player so you can listen to the podcast from that page. So just go to herohabit.com and then hit the podcast button. And while you're there, pick up one of our collector boxes. We have the sports subscription boxes and then the entertainment mystery boxes for you to choose and enjoy. Tomorrow we are talking about a Beatles song that is kind of popular and maybe shouldn't be. That's all I'm going to say about that. It's not a horrible song, but it's not great either. All right. I will see you guys tomorrow. As always, you email me at kinksandbeats@herohabit.com or call me at 925-494-1739. I will talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day. This podcast is presented by the Hero Habit Podcast Network. Swing by HeroHabit.com today to comment on this episode and poke around our growing database of sports and pop culture news, reviews, and collectibles. HeroHabit.com. Collect your heroes.